Everyone, please welcome Michelle Falcon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've had a couple preparatory calls with your conference committee, and I was just introduced. Typically, 3 times a day for 39 years, I'm usually called Michael Falcon instead of Michelle Falcon, which is my full legal government name. And when somebody does call me Michael, whether it's today or tomorrow, I don't fault them. It's my parents' fault, after all. And here's the thing that I talk to my therapist about. My middle name is Alexander, perfectly common, normal name. And my name was supposed to be Eric. Where South Americans learn the name Eric is beyond me, but then my dad decided to change my name in the delivery room, making things just complicated for me. But that's okay. I love my parents. I love my name. So thank you so much. Many times I get brought onto the stage. It's like, Michael Falcon. I'm like, I didn't just meet you. Right? We've been through this, but it's okay. Being a keynote speaker, I know one thing very well. Attention is earned. It's not given. What do I have to do to earn your attention today? And in preparation for today, your conference committee made it very clear, and I was happy to hear them suggest this. Give the audience something that they can use right away. And I loved hearing that because that's always my North Star. That's always my 1A. And I believe I'm able to do that because I am a practitioner. Yes, I wrote a book and I speak on stages, but after today, literally after this conversation, I have a team meeting with my regional directors of my business. And I own restaurants. I have 6 locations, 3 in Toronto, 3 in Manhattan, very challenging markets. Very challenging industry. To contextualize it for you, my industry is known for 75 to 125% year-over-year employee turnover. So every year, your local restaurant has all new employees in fast casual restaurants. That sounds painful. Very difficult. Erodes your profits, erodes your motivation, but the customer also doesn't remember anybody. There's nobody to remember their names, there's nobody to greet them in a hospitable way, and mistakes are made. Naturally, there's new team members. In 2024, my company turnover was only 7%. It wasn't even, it's in single digits. And I'm gonna share some of the tactics and strategies that we use that are applicable to any industry. Nearly 20 years ago, I was introduced to 3 topics that would become the beacon of my career: company culture, customer experience, and employee engagement strategies to grow businesses. Often company cultures are seen like platitudes, things that you put on the wall and rally behind, but if done well and applied within the DNA of the company, it will grow a business and give you 3 things that I hope for my leadership team. Peace of mind. Can you go on vacation without worrying about your business? Can you focus on what you really need to focus on because you know that the day-to-day is taken care of by a strong team? Number 2, pride. How proud are you of your leadership, of your customer experience, of your employee experience? And lastly, profit. How are we profiting from all of this? And that's some of the things that we're going to unpack today. Where I learned those 3 beacons and North Stars was probably in the most unconventional environment that you may recognize. In Vancouver, when I was starting my career, there were 2 very popular companies to work for at the time that were headquartered in Vancouver. One of them was Lululemon. The second was 1-800-GOT-JUNK. You would think I probably would have chose the billion-dollar apparel company. I actually chose 1-800-GOT-JUNK because their slogan, and it still is their slogan, it's all about people. It's where I learned obtained my real-world MBA, and I learned that this stuff really matters. And how do you apply it? Now I'm in restaurants. One thing that I know extraordinarily well about winning the customer for life is you have to win the workplace every day and make price secondary. So if you can focus on what is happening within the four walls of your locations, your stores, what permeates from that are experiences that customers have never seen before, and the reward is a little thing we call profit. Making price secondary is delivering an experience to the customer where they're going to consider the price, of course, we always will, whether it's gas, jewelry, or restaurant meals. But if you're able to justify and command such a great experience for the customer where they almost blink and it's so seamless and fluid, delivered by hospitable, gracious individuals, the price becomes secondary. And that's a very advantageous place to be in. We compete with Chipotle. My restaurant company is called Brasa Peruvian Kitchen, and strategically, if there's a Chipotle, I want to be right next to them. And we've done that 3 times now. We are not cheaper than Chipotle. We are 15% more expensive. And I say expensive in quotations because if you are value driven, are you really expensive? Are you providing a justified price because of the experience and on the customer side, but also on the product experience? There you go. Every leader wants a high-performing team. Never heard of anybody that doesn't want one. They want authentic engagement within this team because we will be able to deliver a revered customer experience, something that is not just a case study in your industry. It's a case study for anything, anywhere. And that's what I'm trying to do with my restaurant company, is have other industries try to understand what is it that they're doing and how can we learn from them. I learned something early in my career. The COO of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Cameron Harrell, taught me this. He said, Michelle, and this is verbatim, Michelle, R&D does not have to stand for research and development. It can stand for rip off and duplicate. Now, how do you do that? You learn from other industries, you take what they're doing so well, and then you ask yourself, how can we put our own fingerprints on this and bring it into the DNA of our company? That is how you create an experience that has never been seen before. And I thank you for the invitation, and your leadership team invited a hospitality person. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you sell. We all must be hospitable, regardless of our industries. Now, if we want all of this, why is it that sometimes we fall short? The 3P strategy is what earns it. The purpose, the process, and the profit. Unpacking the purpose. So what is the purpose of your company? My friend Shane Skilling and I, Shane Skilling owns a company called Hot Specs. He does market research for some of the biggest companies in the world, and his firm is based in Toronto. Red Bull, TD Bank, large billion-dollar organizations. Him and I went out to go find a few things that we think we know about our employees and our customer experience. So we asked them, do you feel like your employees are connected to the mission of your company? 83% felt very confident that the team members were connected to the overall mission of the company. Yet only 13% of team members could recite their mission, vision, and core values. That's a big disconnect. You have the leaders thinking we're all aligned, looking behind them and realizing there's only 13% of our company behind us. We talk about being families. Our company is a family. Some companies will compare themselves to sports teams, high-performing, championship-winning sports teams. I like the Cirque du Soleil. I have spent dozens, maybe over 100 hours researching the Cirque du Soleil, speaking to some of their choreographers, their directors, some of their performers. And why I love the Cirque du Soleil and how it can be relevant to your business and your teams. The Cirque du Soleil, everybody comes to work and just gets the job done. If one person decides to take the night off, the whole performance is ruined. I also like the Cirque du Soleil because the individual powering the lights, you'll never see this person if you're a member of the audience. They're just as important as the actual performer. You know how we say, oh, they're back office? That person's in the back office. In my world in restaurants, they'll say, oh, that's a dishwasher. They work in the dish pit. Like, I changed that. I said it's dish area from now on. Who wants to work in a dish pit? Language matters. Whether you're a dishwasher or running the lighting or back office, as we say, that individual is just as important to the performance of Cirque du Soleil as the individual's actually performing or delivering the service to the guest. But here's another reason why I love the Cirque du Soleil. There is no Michael Jordan or Beyonce of the Cirque du Soleil. Everybody is nameless. Everybody comes to work, no special treatment. Let's go and let's get the job done. And the job is to put on a performance that has never been seen before. Now, how do we take that within the four walls of our locations and our stores and our restaurants? If you went back to your respective cities and asked, what is the mission? Are you going to hear everyone in unison, word for word, say, win the customer for life? I like this because it's very digestible. It's literally only 5 words. So if our team members cannot remember 5 words and how this is the North Star, should they even be on our team? Or have we reinforced this enough with them? Have we made it a conversation point every single day? Our team members expect to be paid every single day. We have the permission to expect them to live up to the values and the mission of the company. That is the fair agreement and the fair trade. I am not going to look at this screen, or this screen, but can you let me know, am I reciting this correctly? To build a company that the world needs more of, one where everyday people are empowered to make great money, achieve career growth, and help close the income equality gap. Did I get that right? I've got a few more words. But whether it's 5 words or 25, 20, it starts with us. If we are not living and breathing the mission of the company, why should anybody follow us? Because we've told them it actually doesn't really matter. We just say it does. That is called a platitude. Platitudes do not drive performance. What is the purpose of our team members? Every single person on your payroll, on your team, have a different definition of success. Some individuals want to replace you, and that's great. They want to grow within the company. Let's do it together. Because I know if you succeed, your performance is going to ladder up to my great performance, and the individual I report into is going to be happy with all of us. But that's not always the case. There are some people that are going to use our companies as stepping stones to the next thing, and we have to be comfortable with that. Golden handcuffs do not exist anymore. We should have never let them exist. Meet Brian Hernandez. Brian Hernandez right now literally is in New York at 1 Water Street at our location at the One New York Plaza building. Literally right now, he is getting ready for service that starts at 12 p.m. He is our senior team lead, like a general manager. That's the title that we use. He started 1 year ago. This location actually opened 367 days ago. He started as a team member, senior team member, team lead, senior team lead. He's been promoted 3 times in 1 year. In the interview process, we ask a question. What is something you have taught yourself in the last 36 months? Because I like to hire people that take ownership over their own personal development as a human being or as a member of Brasa Peruvian Kitchen. So Brian takes a moment and thinks, and we were doing a virtual interview, so he was at home, and he said, I taught myself how to complete a Rubik's Cube in 15 seconds. I said, okay, tough guy. Do you have your Rubik's Cube on you right now? He said, he looks off camera. I do. Goes off camera, comes back, jumbles it up. And I said, do it. This is a group interview too, by the way. So let's see if he can actually do it, because that would be an incredible lie. Bop, 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 bop. Literally, to save my life, I couldn't do what he just did. So that told me immediately, high intellect. I want this person on my team. It's not a coincidence he's been promoted 3 times in 1 year and has earned an extra $5 an hour in that period of time. And I get to be here with you. Remember the peace of mind I told you about earlier? I get to be here with you, not worrying about the restaurants, because Brian has the team moving in the direction that I need them to. What's that worth to you? What's that worth to the company? Brian does not want to be a general manager forever. Aligning with his intellect, he actually wants to become a mechanical engineer, and he's going to go to school. So to be an engineer, you have to be a high intellect and know math and all these things that I do not know. It's my responsibility to get him there. I hire engineers to build my restaurants. So what I did is I put him in touch with Aki and Nico. There are engineers that build our restaurants. And I said, Brian, meet Aki and Nico. Aki and Nico, if you want to keep building our restaurants and make money off of me, you have to coach Brian and make sure he becomes an engineer. Teach him everything about school, how to get hired, all this stuff. On the surface, you may be like, Michelle, you're losing your best person. No. I'm creating an alma mater. Brian one day will leave, and that's fine. But when he leaves, he's going to help us find his replacement, train his replacement, and always say positive things about our culture. And we have to be willing to do that as leaders. And that's the people first culture. What is the purpose of the customer? So you know I'm not lying. This is Eric. On Instagram, he goes by DJ Bunny Ears. You can search him up. He's a real person. He has a different definition of success when doing business with us. He's known as the socializer customer personality type. You can see it in his face and in his eyes. This person's going to talk to you about everything. Have you ever had that customer where in your head you're like, oh, please be quiet. Just focus on what we need to focus on. Let me sell you this thing. And you got a lineup of people trying to get your attention. So we have to train our front lines and how do you get out of that conversation without being rude? How do you deliver an experience on his accord, the way that he wants it? Because the opposite to the socializer personality type is the director. They want to make that purchase in 3.5 minutes and they want to get out. I'm like that with the bank. I'm not a rude guy, but don't talk to me about the local sports team. I'm not here for that. I just want to get out. My definition of success, my purpose in doing business with you is to be transactional in some circumstances. And it matters about our environments too. Where are you purchasing? If I am on vacation at a hotel, I'm probably more of the socializer. If I am your customer in a bank, get me out of here. 1-800-GOT-JUNK was my real-world MBA, and they taught me many things, one of which people don't fail, processes do. So if Samantha or Johnny aren't getting it, okay, well, maybe the interview process broke down. Why did we hire them in the first place? Or maybe the learning and development process broke down. Maybe the way that we have our learning and development structure set up does not serve Samantha the way that she needs to be served and educated. Who built this actually in the first place? When's the last time we looked under the hood? Is this compatible to people that like to learn from an audio perspective versus visual or kinesthetic? I was happy to see that you guys do predictive index, because so do I. I am high A, high B, low C, and off the charts low D. Like, I'm not even on the map. My formality is extremely low. This is what I've created to build a team that is high performing and has never been seen before. It's part of the reason, it's the number one reason actually, why I only have 7% year-over-year turnover and my competitors have 100%. I'm going to talk to you about what I believe the most important part is of all this, and that's the interview process. If we approached interviewing the same way we do with how we spend time with people in our personal life, we'll be more successful. You're selective in who you spend your personal time with. Friends, have you dated before? You didn't marry the first person that looked at you, but yet some of the questions that we ask is, when can you start? Tomorrow, you're hired. You have a pulse? You're hired. And then we wonder, what's going on with this turnover? Or why are we hiring low performers? I recommend developing customer-centric interview questions. I recommend updating them every quarter, or at least looking under the hood to make sure, are these still working? The great thing about this group is you guys can do something I call peer cross-learning. If you have an interview question that's working very well for you, share that with your peers. If you're struggling with the interview process, ask your peers for support. That's why we are on teams. We're not in this by ourselves. One question I like to ask is, which of the core values resonates with you the most? We have 4 core values in our company. Here's something that we do that is different. We give the interviewee the questions ahead of time. It's interesting to see who prepares. So if you think, if I hear an not hired. How could you not prepare? You told me what you're going to be like in the workplace. You just showed me you're going to be unprepared. You're going to be late. All these things that aren't high performing. But when you get somebody, and I still host our interviews every Monday and Wednesday at 3 p.m., I host our group interviews, and I promise you, even if we get to 50 or 500 locations, I'm going to hold on to this as much as possible. Yesterday, Robbie, somebody in New York, dialed into the group interview, and we asked him one of our interview questions. And you could see, he's like, do you mind if I read my notes? I'm like, of course I don't mind. I love that you took notes. And we're going to make him an offer, actually. This next interview question, 972 companies, hand on heart. This is when I stopped counting. 972 companies across the world now ask this next interview question I'm going to present to you. I created it in 2016. I don't like repeating processes over and over again, but this is working so well that I've left it untouched. I need one person to role play with me.
Oh, I will.
Thank you. You don't even know what the question is. All right, this is how we're going to do it. Thank you. I've never, ever, in my speaking career, ever that.
Nice
Patty,
to meet
nice
you.
to meet you. All right, so, Patty, whether you are our bookkeeper, whether you are a marketing coordinator, or whether you are applying to work in our restaurant, everybody gets this interview question, okay? And it goes like this. What is an indulgence that you cannot live without that costs less than $20?
Chocolate.
Okay, perfect. I hear this one often. Hang with me. What region of the world do you like it from? Is there a particular region, or is it dark chocolate, milk chocolate? Is there a brand?
Rogers Fine Chocolate,
Okay.
Dark Chocolate in Victoria, British Columbia.
Perfect. So, let's say you've applied to work within our restaurants. But again, everybody gets this question. So on day one, in some companies, Patty would show up and, not that hospitable. We're not rolling out the red carpet. Sometimes people are like, hey, is there a Patty supposed to be starting today? Kind of not a great experience. Well, at my companies and at 972 others, what we'll do is on day one, we'll have a single point of accountability to be your concierge that day. We're going to first sit you down, and you're at your desk or workstation or area. We'll have a handwritten card. It's written by me. And it'll say, Patty, thank you so much for choosing us. You're phenomenal. You probably had 100 companies that wanted to hire you. Thank you for choosing us. The language matters. When you're trying to recruit high performers, they choose you. You don't choose them. Then in your gift bag is your dark chocolate from Victoria, and it's Rogers. Okay? So why have I done this? How often do we tell our team members to personalize customer service? Imagine if I got you white chocolate, Lind white chocolate. Cutting corners. Don't cut corners. Get specific. Now you know what personalized customer experience or experiences looks and feels like, right? Okay, number two. From this day forward, Patty, I'm going to ask you to deliver an experience to our guests that they've never seen before. Shame on me if I don't do that to you first, because it needs to resonate with you, okay? Third reason, I gave you something to share. Maybe you're going to go home and speak to a family member and tell them, where they ask, where'd you get that chocolate from? Or you're going to post it on Instagram or wherever. Maybe it'll supercharge you to go write a great Indeed review. And here's the last reason. You're about to go into learning and development. We're about to teach you how to do the role. I need to increase your engagement, because when engagement is increased amongst employees, knowledge retention resonates more. Therefore, Patty is going to perform better, faster. I achieved all those four things with $20 only. And I haven't even increased it considering inflation. It's still going to stay $20 as long as I can. I'm South American. We do more with less. And I like that. It's that sandpaper mentality, being like, all right, let's find the most efficient way to do this. And it was in 2016 in March where I developed this interview question, and we ask it every single Wednesday and Thursday. Patty, thank you so much. Round of applause, please. Alfa Romeo, the car company, relocated me in 2018 for 3 weeks. I lived in a hotel called the Hotel Monte Leon in New Orleans. I would highly recommend, if you're in New Orleans, to go to that hotel. And Alfa Romeo was bringing back the car to North America. Their brand was coming back. So for 3 weeks, they had me give the same presentation 4 times a week for 3 weeks, because their franchise dealers were all coming and they were having this reintroduction of the brand. And I sat next to this gentleman, Herb Chambers. He's a billionaire. He owns 100 dealerships of different brands, from Rolls-Royce to Toyota and everything in between. And I asked him some questions, one of which is kind of a typical one. What do you equate your success to? It was during dinner. He looked down, looked up, and he said, green apples. I was like, all right, here's this philosophical. I wasn't really here for that. I was like, just tell me the answer. And I said, what do you mean, green apples? He said, if you go to any of my dealerships, there is a basket of apples at our concierge front desk. And it's for our customers, our guests to enjoy. But it's also an internal cue for attention to detail for our team members. We polish the apples. We make sure there's no stickers, there's no leaves attached to the apple. They have to be pristine. So yes, they're here for our guests to enjoy, but it's the reminder to our team members, whenever they see the apples, have we inspected them? Is it exactly how we want them to be, focusing on attention to detail? Now, I don't have green apples at my restaurants, but we have internal cues, something that was inspired from Herb Chambers. Remember, rip off and duplicate can be your next great operating strategy. Mondays from 4 to 5, every single week, our regional directors and our general managers or senior team leads gather. I'm not in these conversations, but I built this process called the traffic light model. I'm a strong believer that if people on our team want to be compensated for their work every single day, every single week, we've created a high performance environment where you're going to need to bring it every single day, every single week. Want to be treated like an adult? Here's your opportunity. We mean business here, and performance is the scoreboard. So every week, our managers will do a performance review in a hybrid method. They will sit down for 1 hour. 1 hour is 1/40th of a minimum work week. So don't tell me you don't have the time. We have a Google Sheet with all of their team members' names on them. And they'll go rapid fire. Who's in the red? That's termination. When are we going to offboard this person? Too often, we let low and moderate performers stay on our team for too long. Who will do what by when is the thesis of the traffic light model. If somebody's in yellow, who will do what by when? What does this individual need to be coached on? What specifically? We call those learning paths and learning outcomes. So let's say Juan on our team isn't doing well at presenting double proteins as for our customers so we can increase our average sale price. Well, we got to coach Juan on this, and if he doesn't turn the corner in 30 days, Juan's got to go. And green, who needs to be promoted or praised? How often in our careers have we worked in environments where our great performance was neglected? I was a dishwasher when I was 14 years old at Red Robin in North Vancouver. I was the best dishwasher in the industry of dishwashing. But I worked with this guy named Slav, and I despised that we were paid the same amount, and I was carrying the team. Guess what happened? I quit. High performers are going to leave inadequate team members. So the traffic light model has to make sure that the people in green stay. Know this, public praise versus private praise. During onboarding, when you get hired, Patty, if you were hired and we were going to hire you, oh, congratulations, you work at Brassa now. But in your onboarding form, we will ask you, how do you like to be praised, publicly or privately? People that like to be praised privately hate public praise. It makes them insecure and vulnerable, and they don't like it. So go back to your teams and ask them, hey, have you ever been asked this before? Do you like public or private praise? Let's do a show of hands. Who likes public praise in the audience?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah? All right. Who prefers private praise? For sure, right? You see that? 2/3 like public, 1/3 like private. There's no right or wrong. But we have to know as leaders. A micro customer experience. I developed this also in 2016, and it's going nowhere. It's a foundation of the company. A subtle, memorable, and affordable gesture you do for your customers that resonates with them for years. Meet Alyssa. She works at one of my restaurants. Alyssa put the MCE program into action. She was serving a table, and she recognized that these ladies are getting together to celebrate an upcoming pregnancy. So a baby shower. We call that customer or guest intelligence. There's something we can do with this information. Alyssa goes to our hostess stand in real time while the guests are eating, goes to the hostess stand. It says, hey, I have an MCE opportunity at tables 51 to 53. Here's the situation. The hostess, Danielle, goes across the street to Shoppers Drug Mart, buys a box of diapers, a hand rattle, wrapping paper, comes back in time, writes a handwritten card, wraps it before the guests leave, present her with a gift. And as you can see on the right, this customer is a customer for life. They will spend more, they will refer, they're going to write Google reviews, they're going to post on Instagram, check, 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 check. Now, am I recommending that you all go and buy diapers for your customers?
Some of the older ones.
Yeah. I am not. What I'm recommending is only let people like Alyssa in the door. Slam the door shut, respectfully, if you do not believe that the person you're interviewing and allowing to join your team has that customer-centric DNA. Praise Alyssa the way Alyssa wants to be praised. Make sure that these individuals that you're hiring are listening for these moments. Guest intelligence. And how do you take that and create an experience that the customer has never seen before? Let me share another example, a little aligned with your industry here. Jesus Garcia. I introduced Jesus and this credit union in California to the MCE program. And they have been doing this so well that they're giving me a bit of anxiety that they're doing it better than me. You know, this teacher has to stay ahead of the student. They've been doing this since 2018 when I introduced to them. This is an email they BCC me on every single time. It's been 7 years. And they still BCC me every single time that they have an MCE. But here you go. A few weeks ago, Ms. Laura came to speak to Dustin about her options with a previous employer's 401k in the Ventura branch. While getting to know one another, she mentioned that her two pets recently passed away, her dog Bentley and her potbelly pig Winnie. So a little further detail. But guess what Jesus and his team had done for the customer? They purchased little pendants from a local jewelry store in California to help that guest, that member, because it's a credit union, sympathize with them, show empathy. Again, am I asking you to go buy jewelry for your customers? Although it would be fitting, wouldn't it? It's beyond the point. Doesn't even have to be gifting. It could be a simple handwritten card. There's zero chance you're going to be able to do it by yourself as leaders. It's your team that needs to do it on your behalf. And you are like the Cirque du Soleil, the director of the Cirque du Soleil. And you're like air traffic control, making sure your team's going that way and that way and that way with your vision of how this is going to come together. We all want high-performing teams. We want them to be engaged. We want a revered customer experience. The 3P strategy is what brings it to life. People don't fail, processes do. We have to look at all of our processes quarterly, look under the hood. Is this still working? Why is it not working? This is working really well. Is everybody in the company doing it? The thing about getting big is you have to stay small at the same time. That's going to be my challenge. I intend on getting my restaurant from 6 to 250 locations by 2031. That is the goal. But how do we get big like that and stay small and localized? How do we have a consistent experience from coast to coast in different countries, different continents, or wherever we plan to grow? Say what you will about McDonald's, but a Big Mac is a Big Mac is a Big Mac, whether you're in Tokyo, Toronto, or New York. That's a product experience, but we must couple it with a customer experience and an employee experience. Profit is the reward for building a people-first culture. Typically, we align profit with dollars and cents in our bottom lines. Absolutely. But what about profiting by having low employee turnover? Wouldn't that mean that you can focus on what you really want to focus on? By show of hands, how many people wish they had 2 more hours per week to do what they love within their role? I guarantee you that 2 hours will be found by looking at our teams and saying, do I have the best in class? And be stubborn with who is on your team. You are the leader. You have the autonomy to create those teams. To be able to win the customer for life, you have to win the workplace first. I see my company and our company culture as a dining room table in my home. As we grow, we're adding more seats to the table. You can imagine that I don't invite strangers into my home. If we protect that dining room table, whether it's within your stores or my restaurants, and ask ourselves, have these individuals earned the seat? Have I created the environment worth coming to? And who is going to keep their seat and be stubborn with who stays? Because at the end of the day, we are all here right now and the show goes on. Our businesses are operating right now without us. And if we can have that peace of mind to be like, I could be here for 3 more days and nobody would even call or email me because they've got it. What a luxury that might be. But it doesn't have to be a luxury. We earn that. And similarly to the relationships that we have in our personal life, we're selective in who we spend our time with. If you want to build a people-first culture within your stores, within the industry, I highly recommend implementing the people-first culture and the 3P strategy within your business. Thank you very much. So we do have time for Q&A. I love Q&A because 1, I don't know what you're going to ask me. And 2, because of that, you know that the answer will be authentic. And know that if you ask me a question that I don't have the answer to, I'm going to tell you, because there's nothing more embarrassing than somebody answering a question and you trying to give them an answer and everybody realizes, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So I am not shy to say I don't know the answer, but I'll get that answer to you. But let's see what you got. One question there. Yeah. Oh, we got a microphone for you.
So regarding the interview,
yes.
You said that we're going to give the questions to the interviewee in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there is also a drawback of that. They'll be well prepared, but also, do you mix up with other questions with that, or will you stick to only those questions?
Yeah.
Or questions in between?
Yeah. So why do I do that? 1, interviews are bizarre. It's like, I'm going to interrogate you, and I'm going to decide whether I like the interrogation or not, right? Like, aren't we supposed to be trying to build relationships here? Like, imagine the first date you went on, and the person's interrogating you like that, like Jesus, right? So, 2, it's a tripwire. First, did this person prepare or not? Secondly, I'll ask follow-up questions that they can't prepare for. So that's how I do it. At the end of the day, neither of us are hiring brain surgery, like people for brain surgery. I'm not trying to undermine what we do. That's the fact of the matter. I like to find people who have a genuine, uplifting, sunny disposition and understand if they have work ethic. That's it. You can teach them what I do. They can teach them what you can do. Do they show up on time? Also, in that email where we send them saying, hey, here is the interview questions, we also give them some bullet points on how to prepare. Make sure you have stable Wi-Fi. Make sure you have good lighting and such. So you can imagine the person that dials in from their iPhone, and we're like, yeah, that's a no immediately. Like outdoors, it's loud, like you don't follow direction. Thank you for showing that to me already. And am I am I kind of strict? Yeah, I'm strict. Because I'm trying to find out a little bit about you before I make the offer. Because often there are professional interviewers. You've hired them before. I know I have. Like 2 weeks in, you're like, oh, I got that so wrong. Or like, who are you? Right? Like, you're not the person I hired. So you have to have tripwires. We also tell them, show up 5 minutes before the interview. If they show up a minute before, I'll let it pass. But literally at 4:01, done. No. None. Like zero tolerance. 4:01. And then they'll be like, oh, but my what? Not my problem, your Wi-Fi wasn't working. Why didn't you test it 15 minutes before? That's proactiveness. That's foresight. Right? And for the record about interviewing, business school doesn't teach you, high school doesn't teach you, of course. Like, where were we ever taught how to interview? It's something that isn't focused on enough. So when I speak to professionals, typically ones that might be within my business, who might be on the youthful side, I'll say, if I were you, if I was to do my life all over again, I would do what I did and go all in on topics that are related to HR. Because yes, will AI and robots and technology take away some jobs? Yeah, I do believe so. But the human connection, I don't think restaurants are going to be fully automated. I don't think your industries are going to be fully automated. There's going to be a large percentage of customers that still need that human connection. Yes, yep, my pleasure. Thank you for the question.
I'll be loud enough.
Patricia? Yeah?
I'll be quite loud.
Okay.
So one of the things I liked was the traffic light.
Sure.
Every Monday sit down. I know with a lot of us, we've inherited very tenured employees.
Sure.
So those employees have been in the green and now transitioning to yellow.
Sure.
So what would be some of the motivational things or things in the basket to make them come back to green again? Because it's not the company, it's usually more personal than...
Yeah. So I would first start with the why, not the what. So why is it this individual has become this manner or behaving in this manner? And have an honest one-to-one with them. This is, circumstantial according to each individual, but I would sit them down and say, hey, Patricia, can we chat? Yes, absolutely. So whenever giving feedback, make sure that you have the verbal agreement saying, yes, now is a great time to chat. Because sometimes people might not be ready for that. Because typically when your leader's like, can you chat? Typically it's not good, right? But, if you're praising people, it can be. If they say yes, great. And then just lay it out for them. Hey, from my perspective, last month, last quarter, last year, you were doing this phenomenally. Now I'm not seeing that as much anymore. Can you speak to that? Like, do I have that correct? Is there something I'm not understanding or missing here? And see what they present. More often than not, if they're given a safe place where they know that you're reaching out to them in a diplomatic way that's not threatening, they'll open up. And then you can start connecting the dots. Then figure out what the what is. What do we have to do? Okay, well, Patricia, I understand, you empathize and such. I understand. This is what I would like to do. And we call them learning paths, LPs, and then learning outcomes are the specifics. So I would like us to go on a learning path. And by X date, I would love to see 1, 2, and 3 accomplished, or 1 and 2. Make it really clear as day. And be forward and say, if this doesn't improve, we're going to have a different type of conversation. Every company culture is different. Okay? Nike is different than Apple, different than you, different than us, right? Having these conversations and processes have to fit your culture. Right? At Apple, they're not having those conversations. They're like, out, right? Like, we've got 1 million engineers that will replace you. I wouldn't do that at Brasa, right? We just have a different culture. It's not softer. It's just a different approach to doing things. So it's having the understanding the why and then followed by the what, but making sure the when is very clear and drawing a line in the sand. And seek legal counsel, HR counsel. I always cross my T's and dot my I's whenever it comes to anything HR. Does that answer your question?
It does. I think earlier we were talking about empathy and sympathy, and that's where I'm having that sympathy side.
For sure.
And not as much as the empathy. And
Well, does that person have sympathy for you when you don't hit your targets? No, they don't. It's true. It's true. Honestly, we have jobs to do, and this isn't a not-for-profit. My sister works in not-for-profit, and she went from investment banking to not-for-profit. Talk about a swing. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have a job to do, and I would love for it to be with you. You know, my relationship with my wife, we've been together for 10 years, married for over a year, and you know, when I'm like, yeah, she's mad, or something's bothering her, I have to understand what's happening before I figure out why it's happening rather than the what, right? Maybe it's not a dinner she needs, something else, right? And here's the thing, whether it's with my wife, Sophia, or your long-standing tenured team member, forget about it. It's the same thing. It's human behavior. And that's what we forget. Some organizations, I would argue most, including mine, and I'm always trying to break it down, is that we behave a certain way in our professional lives and then a different way in our personal lives. The commonality is human beings getting together to do something, right? For me and my wife, it's be together till the last final breath. For me and my team members, it's to win the Stanley Cup of restaurants, right? To get to 250 locations by 2031. And I would love for it to be with you. But if you're not flying straight, it won't be with you. And I'm not going to apologize. I've given you the opportunity and the coaching, and you just did not meet me halfway. How many relationships in our personal lives have we terminated or ended with friends or family even because they didn't meet you halfway? You didn't get a fair shake. You have to stand proudly. I have a job to do, and I'm going to do it proudly, and I would love for it to be with you, but I'm not scared to part ways with you.
I appreciate that.
Right? Yeah. And look, massage it the way that you want to speak, right? Not everybody should speak the exact same way as me, you know. Any other questions? Oh, we're pinballing all over the room. The runner. Yeah. You're getting your steps in. Hey, Matt, would you be able to pour me a glass of water, please? Thank you so much.
Process.
Yes.
What company would you R&D to improve your concept of a people-first company and why?
Oh, really good question. Okay, so I'm going to answer this in two ways. Number one, thank you so much. That's hospitality. Number one, only try to rip off and duplicate companies that are cut from the same cloth as you. Don't try to be Apple when you're not. So that's the first lesson. The second is a story I'll share. During the pandemic, Toronto, I'm not too certain about here, but in Toronto, most lockdown city in the world outside of China, I had a lot of time before I could start my new restaurant brand. So Brasa started in 2021, 2022 essentially. So during the pandemic, I read a book that was mind-bending, paradigm shifting. And the book that I'm going to be telling people 30 years from now that fundamentally changed the way I think about things in the workplace. That book was called No Rules Rules. It's co-authored by Aaron Meyer, a professor, I believe at UCLA, and Reed Hastings, the former CEO and co-founder of Netflix. That is who I'm ripping off and duplicating from, so much so that I've reached out to people at Netflix and cold DM'd them on on LinkedIn, just saying, in better words than this, I really want to learn from you. This is who I am. Can you give me 15 minutes of your time? True story. So No Rules help me understand something called talent density. But please remember, this works for me. I'm not suggesting that you listen to me like I'm speaking gospel here, right? They introduced me to something called talent density. Pay people more, have less people. That's how they treat their engineers. So part of the reason why we have 7% turnover is because we pay 22% more to our employees than Chipotle and comparable restaurants without collecting tips. That's kind of what we're known for, is we refuse to collect tips from customers. Now, you would think, well, you're not profitable then. Our labor percentages are 15%. The industry is 25%. So that lesson of R&D, I was like, why wouldn't this work in restaurants? The biggest pain point in my industry is minimum wage. You know, we pay well above that. I also learned the keeper test. And this is where the traffic light model came from. Remember, get inspired, don't completely rip off, put your own spin on it. But the keeper test at Netflix, once a month, leaders ask themselves quietly, if your team handed in their notice, who would you fight hard to keep? Everybody else is replaceable. Yeah. So I was like, that is profound. We're doing the keeper test. We called it the traffic light model. So podcasts, I'm a phenomenal purchaser of books, a very infrequent reader. I'm an audio person. Podcasts are phenomenal, but it truly, if you're wanting to do that and spur innovation, you have to first ask yourself, like, who are we? Who do we want to align ourselves with or become? Who's aspirational to us? You know, really similar to, I think they played hockey in Halifax. Nate McKinnon, is he from? Yeah, okay. Nate McKinnon models himself after Sidney Crosby. We should do that in our workplaces. Any other questions? I got 3 minutes.
I had a question.
Yes.
So most often, sorry, I don't say most often, like personalities, join us, like they connect to each other.
Sure.
And you seems like you have very engaged staff. So do you have an employee like referral program? And if
Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, so we do, and I love referrals. Typically, people hang out with other like-minded people, whether it's family or friends. One of the things that we do first is something called the team member avatar. So it's a painted picture of exactly who we're looking for, traits and behaviors. Like internally, we call it the Mona Lisa. That's who we're looking for, and it helps us contextualize. Or it helps our team members contextualize who are we looking for, and it's kind of the North Star of the personality type. That's where we start. So that's one process that we have in our entire recruitment funnel. And then we ask our team members for referrals. But look, sometimes it's in one ear, out the other, even if it's compensated, right? So what we do is $500 per referral, because we did the math. And that was actually doable for us because the industry spends so much money in turnover, and it's a number worth like, yeah, I'll get out of bed for that, right? So 250 after 30 days, and then the other 250 after 90 days of this individual successfully reaching 90 days. But we also do something that's different. Once a month, we pay our employees for 30 minutes to do it. So sit down, grab your phone, text people, Facebook, Instagram. This is your designated time, right? Because if we're like, do it in passing, life happens. You're gonna forget, right? We're like, literally, you are obligated to do this right now because we're paying you to do it. And it works. Some things need compensation, others don't. You'd be surprised. Sometimes, even without that time, you'll get a referral. But I do love recommendations. We only recruit through 2 channels, Indeed and referrals. Everything else has failed miserably, actually. But that's just for our industry, at least. Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you everybody so much. Enjoy the rest of your conference.